They thought they had found the perfect place to raise their children. A beautiful 6-bedroom mansion at 657 Boulevard, New Jersey. But for the Broaddus family, the American dream was about to become a living hell. Before they even moved in, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address, just a chilling message. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades, and now it is my time to watch you. Welcome to the terrifying true story of the Watcher. To understand the terror, you have to understand the town. Westfield, New Jersey, is one of the wealthiest and safest neighborhoods in America. It's the kind of place where people don't lock their doors. The Broaddus family spent years saving for this house. They wanted a sanctuary for their children to grow up in. They spent weeks planning renovations, choosing paints, and imagining their future. Little did they know, every time they visited the property, eyes were watching them from the shadows. The Watcher wasn't just a ghost in a story. He was a living, breathing predator who felt that 657 Boulevard belonged to him and him alone. In 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus purchased this dream home for $1.3 million. It was supposed to be a fresh start. But the house had a history, a dark one. The previous owners had lived there for 23 years, and they claimed they never saw anything strange. But as soon as the renovations began, the letters started coming. The writer knew things. He knew the names of their children. He knew the order in which they arrived. He called them the young blood. What kind of mind writes these letters? Criminal profilers look at the language used by the Watcher and see a pattern of deep obsession. He used words like young blood and greedy. He spoke about the house as if it were a living being that needed to be fed. This suggests a personality that is highly intelligent, but deeply disturbed. He wasn't just trying to scare them. He was trying to reclaim territory. He treated the family like invaders in his kingdom. The psychological pressure was intense. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow in the garden, became a potential threat. The house was no longer a home. It was a cage. The letters grew more disturbing. One read, "Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time they will." Imagine the psychological toll. Every neighbor became a suspect. Was it the strange man next door who sat in a lawn chair staring at their house? Was it the local historian? The police were baffled. DNA was found on one of the envelopes. It belonged to a woman, but it matched no one in the system. The family was trapped in a house they couldn't live in and a nightmare they couldn't escape. They hired private investigators, former FBI agents, and even reached out to the previous owners. Everyone was a suspect, yet no one was the culprit. But here is where it gets even stranger. Some people in the town started to whisper that the Broaddus family wrote the letters themselves. They claimed it was a case of buyer's remorse, that the family realized they couldn't afford the house and wanted a way out. However, the evidence says otherwise. Why would a family destroy their own reputation and lose hundreds of thousands of dollars on a house they loved? The conspiracy theories only added to their pain, proving that in a small town, sometimes the neighbors can be just as cruel as the stalker himself. The town of Westfield, usually a quiet sanctuary, was now a place of paranoia. The family tried to sell the house, but who would buy a home haunted by an anonymous stalker? The story went viral, turning their private agony into a global spectacle. The psychological warfare was working. They were losing their minds. To this day, the identity of the Watcher remains a mystery. The house was eventually sold at a massive loss, but the letters stopped as soon as the family left. Was it a hoax, a neighbor with a grudge, or something much more sinister? Some say the Watcher is still out there, waiting for the next young blood to move in. What would you do if you received a letter like that? Let me know in the comments. And remember, someone might be watching you right now.